I act differently around people who aren't my race.
Oh yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Hey, boy was ready, bruh. I'm not gonna lie. I do act different. I do act different around people that's not my race, bro. But it's like, cause it's like, it's just, it's not weird, but it's like, I grown up around more of my race than any other race. Like, don't get me wrong, like, you see every other race, like, everywhere you go in, like, public and everything, but I only hang out with my race, like, if we go, like, out to eat or some shit, like, I only hang out with my race for real. So it's like, with like, different people, like, for instance, like, Caucasian, I work with Caucasians a lot, or I work with mainly Caucasians right now, and it's like, damn, bro, I really act different around them, bro. Cause it's like certain shit I would have to hold back and all that shit. So it's like, damn.
I think the most important thing is just to authentically be yourself, and I don't think being around people who don't look like you should be a reason for you to act any different.
And it go off a different environment too, bro. If you grow up around mostly of your thing, mostly of your culture, like it depends on what environment. If your environment that you grew up around, like in school and at home and all that shit, and people you hang around with is mixed in with different races, bro, then you're gonna be comfortable around everybody. But if it's not like mixed in, bro, it's gonna be weird. I'm telling you, it's gonna be weird talking to other people that's outside your race, man.
Yeah, for me, I guess it's like within the confines of like the workforce.
I was thinking code switching.
Because
Yeah,
if you show up to
especially.
a meeting talking like this, they're like, uneducated, got it. They'll use the slang to sell the products and to tweet and to get the clicks and stuff. But like as soon as a worker's there who's authentically from the area and talking like people from the area, it's like, ooh, we don't like that. You know, because it's always like, well, be yourself until you yourself. And then it's like, ooh, I don't like yourself. Unfortunately, in a lot of the areas of work, it's like you almost have to like lie to these people to be like, I'm a
Facts.
robot. I'll like, you know, I love your company. Yeah. You know, it's sick. It's sick. But it's like, you have to do it, you know.
It's true. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like code switching is one part, but also like there's certain parts in my own community that aren't accepted, that when I'm around different people that look like me, I can express myself differently. Like, I feel like if I
Facts.
talk a little proper, sometimes I get a little slack for it from my side of the family.
Right,
But when I
right.
go out into the world, sometimes I like EDC, I like tech music, I like, you know what I'm saying?
See, for me,
I
I
ain't
feel
gonna lie,
like
that shit give me a headache, boy. I am not gonna lie to you. Like, the rock, like, I mean, I listen to music, bro, and I don't listen to, like, rap a lot. I don't listen to the Guns and all that shit a lot. Like, the only time I listen to that shit is, like, if I'm in the gym or some shit and I gotta get, like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But other than that, bro, nah, I don't listen to all that shit, bro. I try and keep it simple, bro, on some, like, very, very minimum talking about killing people and all that shit. So, yeah.
like it has nothing to do with race. It more has to do with just being professional. Like if I'm at work, then I'm obviously going to be a little more proper, you know, a little bit less slang and all of that, and just more careful with my rhetoric, but I don't think it has to do with race. The only thing I will say is, like, I work in political media, so I'm on camera a lot, so people already know who I am and what I'm coming with. But that being said, it's like when I'm around other black people, because I'm a Republican, sometimes they tend to be really standoffish with me or think that I don't understand the culture and all this different stuff. So sometimes I have to feel it out, like, are these people who are just gonna call me an Uncle Tom, or are these people like I can actually just keep it all the way real with? So that's the only time I feel like I act different because of race.
You know, I also work in political media, but as a leftist, and I honestly feel like I've definitely benefited from being able to be in spaces where I've been able to be authentically myself, and I definitely think that's a privilege, especially where I like grew up is just like is something that's regularly happening that people have to go through. But personally, I think I've been able to, especially now in a business side and now my new workplace, I feel like I don't have to adapt my language to make people like respect me or understand where I'm trying to come from, you know?
At what point is it like, damn, we can't even really have conversations without buttoning up and being like, oh, this is how we have to talk like this, because so they'll listen, or like regard us as
But do you
people.
think that's racial, or do you think that's
I
just...
think
No,
I don't know
that's-
that if I don't know that it's because I'm right. I know where you're going.
We've seen you.
I know. I think I know exactly where it's going. I don't think it's intrinsically rooted in race, but I think just the way the social genetic makeup of people are. I think just by way of people of specific races speaking a certain way or being
Facts.
perceived a certain way, it tends to be more often than not rooted in race, based off of like urban Black Americans.
Yeah.
Right.
I think most people have barriers they put up when they get introduced to a new group. I went on
Especially,
disagree
yeah.
instead of strongly disagree because like there have been situations where I get introduced to a group of someone of a different race. And like, yeah, at first I'm pulled back, but once I get comfortable with them, those walls come down and then, yeah, that's where my true self comes out.
For me, it really depends because I've been shooting music videos in the hood, so I really need to basically adopt myself to become a Black person. So for me, it's not a problem like meeting new
What do you mean by that? I'm gonna hear your explanation.
myself to become a Black person. So for me, it's not a problem like meeting new races.
Okay.
I always like vibe and chill with people.
Do you think adapting yourself to those different ethnicities is like something that's required to foster like a successful relationship?
Like I would say it's really more for your survival because
Type shit.
you know like, if you are the only white guy
Facts.
on set
I get
and,
what he's
like,
saying though.
there's like people with like guns and stuff and you know you just really need to like fit in and just be chill with it.
You're from the Ukraine, right? Do you feel like not having grown up with American culture as a whole, and then especially not growing up with our subcultures, do you feel like that's influenced the way you move when you're moving between our subcultures?
My like mentality is kind of mixed because like from the age of like 13 I really started to learn English. From
okay.
that I really learned a lot, like I really got the American like mentality more, and basically like my mentality is like mixed because like in Ukraine if we see a Black person we call them the N-word. And
yeah,
from
yeah,
our
I like
side,
that.
it's
Okay.
not offensive. Like we say it not from
Okay,
an offensive way, but some
See, I like bro. As long as they don't use the hard ER, I really don't give a fuck, honestly, bro.
people can because you know
long as
like
they
you
don't
don't
use
see
that
a
hard
Black
ER
person
is-
there.
I can understand that
I really
because
don't
I
give a
went
fuck,
to
man.
a school that was predominantly Black when I was growing up.
Right.
And when I first saw the first white kid, I was like, what is that? You know what I'm saying? So, like, it was a white girl with, like, red hair, and I was like, whoa, I've never seen this before. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I
Bro,
understand.
Let me tell y'all something, bro. So, through freshman and sophomore year, I went to predominantly Black, and then my 11th and 12th grade, I went through predominantly white, right? So, in predominantly Black, we had white people, of course, in our school, bro. But it was like, maybe like 2, 3, or 4 of them. I was cool with most of them, I ain't gonna lie to you. I was cool with a couple of them, and then in the predominantly white, you'll see like a few Black people and all that shit, but it's like it's a different shift in environment if you go from predominantly Black to predominantly white, bro. Everything gonna seem off, cause like the teachers act. This is me personally. I think the teachers act differently. Damn. The teachers act differently in predominantly white than predominantly Black. And they teach more stuff in predominantly white though. Like predominantly Black schools, they have less automatically. I don't know why, but I mean I know why, but you know why? I mean, I don't know why I keep saying that shit. I know why they got less, but it's like the predominantly white, the teachers go is more like keep in mind both type of schools are strict and all that shit, like a certain amount. But I think they have more freedom in the predominantly Black, bro. I think they have more freedom, especially like white teachers, bro. The white teachers like in predominantly Black, they cool as fuck. Everybody fuck with them and all that shit. And then when I did not like none of the teachers that I had in my predominantly white school, but other than my fucking weight training teacher, bro. Other than that, bro, I did not fuck with nobody else, bro. Like I don't even remember their names on some shit, bro. Like it's different environment, bro. And then the way people dress and all that shit. Like, come on now. I'm just saying, bro. I gotta find where I was at though.
I think that's
I
just,
think
So I really need to basically adopt myself.
to those
Are the only white guy on set, and like there's like people with like guns and stuff, and you just my like mentality is kind of
fine. What was
mixed
it, man?
because like from the age of like 13 I really started to learn English. From that I really learned a lot. Like I really got the American like mentality more, and basically like my mentality is like mixed because like in Ukraine, if we see a black person, we call them the N-word. And from our side, it's not offensive. Like we say it not from a offensive way, but some people can because like you don't see a black person there.
I can understand that because I went to a school that was predominantly black when I was growing up. And when I first saw the first white kid, I was like, what is that? You know what I'm saying? So, like, it was a white girl with like red hair, and I was like, whoa, I've never seen this before. You know what I'm saying? So like, I understand that like when a white person comes to a predominantly black group, then you're going to try your best to adapt to our culture, to be like, okay, hey, I get along with you. This is my way of like telling you like, hey, I'm like extending an olive branch basically. So yeah.
personally, not to sound triggered, but I just don't like the notion that you're becoming a black person by pretending to be hood or
No,
adopting a hood
just like
mentality,
the
because
slang.
not all black people are hood, not all black people are
course.
ghetto.
Facts.
I understand what you're trying to say, and
It's
I
a
don't know
difference. It's a difference between hood culture and black culture, obviously.
if it's a language barrier, so I don't want to like come at you like you're saying something racist, but I just
saying.
really am anti black people being defined as ghetto and hood, because there's a lot of classy black people out
Yes,
there.
there's a lot of intelligent Afro-Americans out there, and it really like depends on like where you grew up in.
Facts.
also,
environment.
if you are hood and ghetto like me, you can also be all those things too.
White people also
I
experience.
mean, the smartest niggas be the niggas that has no, you know what I'm saying? The smartest people are the people that have no that much to, you know what I'm saying? Especially black people, bro. I know some smart ass black niggas, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. I know some smart ass black niggas that's not gonna be able to, that weren't able to go like college and all that shit, bro. They be doing
race-based prejudice.
shit. I'm not even gonna say too much. Wait, what was
Since
the
you guys
question, bro?
probably don't know, I
You grew up
I don't
in.
even know the question.
Also, if you are hood and ghetto like me, you can also be all those things too.
White people also experience race-based prejudice.
Since you guys probably don't know, I have lived overseas. I've lived in Asian countries. In Japan, there are certain restaurants and stuff like that that you could walk into. You can see people dining in the restaurant, and they're gonna tell you they're closed, just because you're
Damn.
white or you're American.
Nah, that's crazy.
So the idea that white people can't really experience racism kind of contradicts the very definition of the word, because the definition of racism is prejudice based on one's skin color. White people do experience it, but to a different degree.
Facts.
While I do think that our white brothers and sisters in Christ can experience racial-based prejudice, I don't want to overlook the nuance of that prejudice.
Right.
Because it's not necessarily rooted in anything systematic or anything that's gonna actually have long-term effects, knock on wood, that are gonna like debilitate a race or inhibit their chances or possibility of succeeding or being seen as better than POC.
I definitely think it's a non-issue, racism towards white people, especially specifically, I want to, like, in America. I don't think it's something that needs to be highlighted as an issue that is a constant threat to lives, day-to-day
Facts.
well-being, progress
Facts.
and success in life in general, because it's not something that's going to inhibit you. and you don't have to walk out your door and think, I'm about to be attacked, like people of color do every single day.
Facts.
I do agree that
Facts.
white people haven't been put through centuries of hell like black people were, but prejudice towards white people 100% exists. Like whether it's in TV, if it's in movies, like if you watch predominantly black media, there's a lot of roasting towards white people that if it was the other way around, that would never be acceptable today. Then you go on social media like TikTok and you look up white people are bad. You will see videos where they're attacking white people for things that their ancestors did 200 years ago. There are societal benefits at this point for being a person of color, and that those negatively affect white people. Like if you look at affirmative action, diversity quotas in the workplace, all these different things, they lower the bar for black people, but then increase the bar for white people. However, I think where some of the issue comes is because a lot of marginalized groups and people of color back in the day went through so much worse that it's easy for us to discredit the prejudice that white people now deal with today.
I think like on an individualistic level, like yeah,
he had
white
that
people
shit
get hate
though.
all the time.
I fuck with
but
it. I ain't
think
got no
if you
response
zoom
to that
out
shit.
and you look
I
at
ain't
the
gonna
big
lie to you.
picture, it's a little bit different. And like talking about like YouTube having, you know, racist content for anyone out there.
Right, right.
It's like I would have to go and seek that out versus it
Facts.
like coming to me.
Recommend
Versus
it.
like on Twitter.
Against white people?
Yeah, I would have to like look for a video being like, oh, people who hate white people.
I agree.
Oh,
Like
right.
versus
Okay.
like Twitter, I don't have to scroll very long before I see some person making some out-of-pocket comment about
And regulation
some shit.
being lifted so people can see that even more so.
Right.
Absolutely, that's 100% right. And even saying affirmative action, statistically and on paper, white people, white women were benefiting more from affirmative action at colleges than any other demographic. So I also don't think that's fair to say, but I definitely get what you mean. And again, I think the prejudice is still there though.
And I will say that black people do deal with prejudice. I think
Right,
every
right.
demographic deals with prejudice. There are racist
here.
people everywhere. Like I just don't think systemic racism is an issue anymore in today's society, but I do think that there are racist people out there.
I think that there's a really important distinction. Our language is constantly evolving, and you were talking about the definition of racism. Our societal definition has changed to include a systemic part of it. And I completely disagree with this idea that people of color don't have systemic things against them still. Because the fact that we still have the KKK, the fact that we still have these things,
Yeah,
and they are
that
in
shit
positions
crazy, I ain't gonna lie.
of power. As long as that exists, and as long as that's a part of our country's like makeup right now, which it is, and that's our power structure, I don't feel like you can honestly deny systemic racism against the black community, which is why prejudice is so different from racism. I don't think white people can experience racism in this country, but we can experience prejudice based on the societal definitions we now use.
Being
She just spoke. I ain't gonna lie to you. The system is terrible towards us, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, it's a lot of shit bro. The shit that we learn is different from, like, the shit we learn as growing up is different from what other races grew up learning. So it's like, you know what I'm saying?
sexually unattracted to a race is racist.
Cap. Hold on, let me play
I
that
think
back.
we're the
Let me play that back.
Based on the societal definitions we now use.
Being sexually unattracted to a race is racist.
Cap.
I think
Cap.
where the line gets drawn is when if a white male was sitting there swiping and he's just like, I don't like black girls, they're all ugly. They have too big of lips. I think that's where the line gets drawn. But you can't really help what you're attracted to. Like my
Cap. 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 Come on now. Like, I love my light skins, my dark skins, dark chocolate, you know what I'm saying? Things of that nature. But like I just can't find like no other race like attractive on some shit. Like, that's just me though. That's just me though. Just saying. But I mean, I fuck with white people and all that shit, bro, but that's just me though.
My
I could be
fiance is
cool with them, friends with
Mexican,
him, as
and
other-
it's like
and
I
that-
like
things of that
him for
nature.
who he is, not how he looks.
I think that we are conditioned to be attracted and to respond to people that we grow up and around with. So homogeneously, we grow up with people who look like us. So when you move into dating and things like that, statistically, you're going to be attracted to people that you grew up seeing, right? However,
right.
when you are discrediting a certain race for whatever reason based off their ethnicity, meaning everybody who did exist, is existing, and will exist from that race, you are not feeling anything. Cute, I don't control your body or your thoughts, but on one hand, I'm like, let's maybe unpack that. Also, where's my camera? To all the girls that's putting this in their bios, that's none of our business. Stop doing that. Keep that to yourself. We don't want to hear that.
We don't want to hear
Doing
what?
that.
I wouldn't even. I stopped paying attention.
Discrediting a certain race for whatever reason based off their ethnicity, meaning everybody who did exist, is existing, and will exist from that race, you are not feeling anything. Q, I don't control your body or your thoughts, but on one hand, I'm like, let's maybe unpack that. Also, where's my camera? To all the girls that's putting this in their bios, that's none of our business. Stop doing that. Keep that to yourself. We don't want to hear that.
For me, I think that like we're talking about conditioning and how we grew up, right?
Right.
If you go to like South Africa, for instance, which within some of our lifetimes had apartheid. If you grow up in that, especially as a black person, where you're constantly being mistreated by every single white person, and you're conditioned to be like, white person, no thank you. I don't think that's racist.
I agree, and I did not grow up in South Africa with apartheid.
Yeah.
However, like I said,
used
the
an
nickname
extreme.
of my town was Clancy. Like a lot of my interactions growing up were incredibly racist, and I'm dating a white guy. So I totally get what you mean. I don't want to discredit black people or anyone who's had those kind of situations, because it's not that they're not dating white people. It's
Yeah.
definitely, it's more like they're cautious.
I think you used the perfect word earlier. Is it conditioned or is it?
I was thinking about it on terms of me being a black woman. I feel like it's a lot different when it is a black woman going into dating someone that is not of their race. I can tell you from my experience with dating Hispanic men, white, whatever, they've only seen Jerry Springer and Maury. So
Facts.
it's like they have.
Jerry Springer was that show. We all know it was staged and all that shit, but still, that hey, Jerry Springer was that shit though. I ain't gonna lie to you.
A whole different
came with some
idea of what a
content
black
though. I
woman
ain't gonna
is.
lie.
Like before my husband changed a lot, one of the comments made to me was he was afraid of me going to his house with braids in my hair, because then they would assume that I was a different kind of girl instead of looking at me for who I am.
I have been denied access because of my race.
I can go anywhere, I can sit down anywhere, and I am not going to be denied because of how I look. And I would be ignorant to not admit that.
And I'm gonna counter that with we are justifiably not let into spaces, and our whiteness takes away access to things like powwows. And there's an island in Hawaii that's only for natives or for like safe spaces for black communities or whatever else. We are justifiably denied access because of our skin.
Period. We love the nuance.
The thing about Hawaii, though,
Yeah.
Hawaii is stolen land. I believe that they have every right to be able to say only we're allowed to go here, because that
Justifiably.
was theirs. It was literally stolen land that was stolen by white people.
Yes. No, but that's why
Yeah.
it's justifiably, it's still denied access.
Yeah.
But it is justifiable, 100%. Don't
Yeah,
let me
it's
in.
denied access, but it's justifiable. But it's like in my own day-to-day life, I could go anywhere. I can sit down anywhere. I can go read a book in a library. I can go to Starbucks. People don't fear me because of how I look, and so they don't feel the need to be like, you can't be here.
But like in your day-to-day life, are you being denied access? Like, are you trying to go to that island that they
No.
won't let you? Okay.
Then I think that's a really good question. Has it happened? I guess. Because, like,
would
are you
say
seeking
yeah.
those spaces then?
I'm not necessarily seeking them. If I am already aware that this is like, hey, this is for us, not for you. I'm not gonna show up and be like, yeah, but like, I'm a cool white person. But there are spaces that we are not allowed, and I think that's okay.
No, it is okay. But if you're not actively seeking to be part of those circles, you're not being denied access to them.
Right,
will
right.
Sure,
Yeah,
and
I agree with what you
and I can
said
say
too,
that
I ain't
maybe
gonna
those are not the best examples, but like I think especially because my social circles are predominantly people of color, there are definitely things where they're like, where I've had them be like, this is not a conversation for you, and I'm like, okay. I have had those experiences. I'm okay with them. I want to be clear. Like, I think there should be spaces that aren't for me, and that is okay.
I mean, yeah.
But they've existed and they've been in my life.
I have just one really specific example. Otherwise, I feel like in general, I'm not denied access because of my race, just in my experience. But I had an ex whose stepfather was wildly racist, like Nazi memorabilia, like just insane individual. And I was never allowed over her house because of him. And the one time that I kind of snuck in. He was staring at me through the window, and I'll never forget that
Yeah.
in my life, the way that man was staring at me through the window, and then cursed out his kids for having me in the house. That man's now in prison for doing God knows
Something.
what, but it's where he belongs.
Man, that boy.
I was looking for funding for my film, and most of them are for colored people, and I totally understand that. And there is like not many that I found that are for like everybody. My mind would be like, damn, I cannot do it. Like I cannot apply to it. But from the other side, I understand that the Black community, like you guys need to get your movies out there.
If anything, I feel like I've been invited too much. You know, I feel like I'm kind of like an undercover agent where I'm like because I talk a certain way or because I present myself a certain way, they assume like, oh, I could say this in front of you.
100%.
And I'm like, what do you say?
Exactly.
You know, I've never
That's
really
it.
been.
Now I'll say that too. I've been
Yeah.
tokenized so many times.
like, I don't want
we
that.
have to have you here. We need young Black representation. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yes, I'm gonna stay home.
Yeah.
I am proud of my race. 3,
Ooh, I'm not gonna lie. Right now, my race, the shit that we achieved, I'm proud of. But right now, as expectations wise, what we putting ourselves as right now, I'm talking about my generation. Right now, it's terrible. I'm not proud of that shit. Damn, that's crazy. I just said, nah, that shit crazy. I ain't gonna lie. Like, the expectations we got is crazy. I'm not gonna lie. Man, let me get back into the video.
2, 1.
I will go first, and I will stand 10 toes in.
I was just being ironic to
I
stand over
think-
there.
Okay, baby. I was like, please no. I was here. I cried a little bit.
I'm
I
being
think
messy.
that, like, and I'll just keep it specific to my experience or what I know. As Black Americans, we're pretty much the top culture that gets replicated, referenced. People
Right,
scoot in and
right.
scoot out because they want to seem cool and interesting and
Yeah.
stuff. And I think that that's so kind of us to like kind of like be beaten down for so long and be kind of separated from our African roots, create names for ourselves, culture, language around our identities as Black Americans, and have that be a thing that's just reverberating across the globe. I think that's so cute, can never be replicated, can never be understated, and I love that about it.
That was kind of the start of my like thought process too, like just the basis of being torn down so adamantly.
Let me rephrase what I said, bro. I said, like, my generation wise, bro, it's like certain shit, bro, I'm telling y'all, it's certain shit that is like, damn, bro. Like, dating wise, everybody got high expectations. But then, everybody working, that's my age, bro. Everybody working their ass off because we got the brick shit. I'm not getting into that shit. If y'all don't know what bricks is, y'all had to do y'all research and all that shit. But, bro, man, it's like everybody got stress up in this motherfucker, bro. But it's like, damn, we try and get shit done, but we can't because we got to spend money on this and that. Like, come on now, bro. And then dating wise, influential wise, influences like music and all that shit. Bad influences, terrible influences. And then they spread into the kids too. Terrible influences. Not gonna get into that. I'm just giving like basic basic crazy. Damn, bro. Let me get back to the video, bro.
So regularly for hundreds of years in law, even like it is insane that we are here today to even be on camera, to even be in a place with other white people. Like, it is a beautiful thing that we have been able to flourish in such dirt, like literal filth and grime that our ancestors had to go through, and even our grandparents had to go through. Like, in my 8th grade yearbook I saw recently, it said like the South will rise again. Like, and this was 2015. So like, this is such a day-to-day thing, and I am proud to be Black, and it's hard to say that. Like, it was hard to say that as a kid, like, or else I could be called the N-word, I could be reprimanded, and I feel so blessed to even be able to think that.
Everybody needs to be proud of their race and stop this like racist bullshit, because like you could be green, red, black, white, Hispanic, like it doesn't matter.
I agree with like what you're saying, because my own personal belief is that at the basis of who we are is that we're all just people. We're not a skin tone. But because of those before me, I now have to fight back against the idea that all white people are racist. I remember being in 4th grade and learning about the Holocaust for the first time and saying, I don't want to be German anymore. Meanwhile, my mother's whole family is German. American history, you look at things like slavery, you look at things like Jim Crow laws, segregation. There is so much awful stuff that has happened and is still happening in closeted ways that I cannot be proud of the way that I look.
Yeah, for me, like, I am proud of who I am, like who I grew up to be, like I like who I am. But like, if I were to say I'm a proud white man, like I don't even know what that means. Like, there have been 0 racial hurdles in my life. Now, like, I'm a proud gay man because like I've had to go through shit to get to where I am now. And you know, even to that point, so much queer culture comes from black culture, so thank you.
You're welcome.
I want to be proud of the things I've done, the people who I've touched, whose hearts I've opened up. I feel like it's beyond our race. I feel like what it is our experiences that make our light shine through. So that's what I'm proud of, actually. Yeah.
I think that there's a really big difference between being proud to be black and being proud to be white. So being proud of your culture, beautiful thing. Like, be proud to be Ukrainian. I'm proud to be Slavic. The black community is different, and the reason it's different is because their culture, specifically black Americans, their culture was stripped away from them when they were brought over here. So then the culture became being black American. The race became cultural.
I mixed that up.
So
Sorry about the hate.
Yeah, but like,
Yeah.
so I think that there's a really big difference between like, I am proud of my people are Slavic, versus I am proud of my race. It just gets convoluted because black Americans, the race has become the culture because the culture was stripped away.
I also think oftentimes when we talk about
She's speaking,
white
right? I ain't gonna lie.
pride versus black pride, oftentimes black pride is rooted in like love and like perseverance of like culture, customs, language, and things like that. And white pride is often rooted in like black hate, Latin hate, Asian hate. So I think that's like an interesting nuance to not overlook.
No, and I think that's such an important point. I think there's a difference between like, I'm proud and therefore I'm better, versus I am proud of what we have overcome.
Yeah, and then the whole idea of white pride started with people who think the Confederate flag is a personality trait. So how can I be proud of that?
I'm not saying that this applies to any of you, but I meet a lot of white people, particularly white liberals, who will actively say that they're ashamed of being white. And that is wild to me, because how can you look at your past and because, yes, your race did terrible things in the past, but you shouldn't define yourself as that. If anything, you should look at that and reflect.
So do you think white people should be proud to be specifically white?
See, I think that's a really nuanced question when you're white, because I think you guys had the valid point of ethnicity is different, because like white isn't a collective culture in the way that black is, because black people have been grouped together and have a similar experience. But like white, like Italian American, you should definitely be proud of being Italian American. You should be proud of being Slavic American. You should be proud of your lineage. But just to say, oh, I'm proud to be white, like, yeah, that has a weird connotation to it because it's not a collective culture. But what I really want to emphasize is that you should not be ashamed of being white in the way that a lot of people are.
Yeah.
Or maybe you should.
Okay.
At that point, it's on you.
I fuck with that answer. I fuck with that answer though. I ain't gonna lie. Let me know down in the comments what y'all think of this video. I ain't gonna speak too long. It's been what, 33 minutes? Damn, 33 minutes of fucking shit. Let me know down in the comments what y'all think of each question and all that shit. Let me know down in the comments if y'all think this is a WAL vid. All that shit. Stay tuned for more videos, and I'm out.
When I drip in lasagna, I'm on some shit that's way more fun. Looking for me, I'm behind you. I'm with the gang that's way more choppers. Clip full of them piranhas. Bullets biting, you ain't make it to mama. Shoot a gang with the drama. Fuck it up and then we split in the comments.
I be focused on the check, the niggas really cannot compete with me. Shorty used to try to flex a line, now she wanna come meet the G.